We're live.
How you doing out there? I would say Facebook family, but it's more than just that. Facebook, YouTube, uh, yeah, several different streaming networks, LinkedIn, um, YouTube channel. So I tell you, we got an absolutely fantastic show coming your way, and the topic that we're gonna talk about is who children are they? And we got this absolutely fantastic guest who's also responsible for the content and creating this movie. And she's going to talk to us about all of these great things that I believe that we need to have an understanding of and also need to know what's being taught to our children in school. So I say sit back, get ready to have an absolutely wonderful time because we getting ready to do this. We're going to talk about all of these great things. And I tell you, if you're listening on any of these streaming networks, you can always call in and ask her any question that you want to. And that number is 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. And let's get started. Well, we're getting ready to get started.
Circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's your life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now, here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to It's Your Life. I'm James Cooley, and I tell you, I am so excited about the topic that we're talking about today. Also, about this absolutely fantastic guest that we have with us. You know, I tell you, we all wonder about our children, especially if you got school age children, even the parents, even the teachers, educators, everybody that's making a difference in their life. But we also have to have an understanding of what's being taught, what's being asked of them, and we all have to make conscious decision to make sure that the environment that we have our kids in are the right environment. So I tell you, uh, we're going to talk about whose children are they. And Michelle is going to introduce this absolutely fantastic guest of ours in a minute. But Michelle, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful here. And, I'm really excited about the show because this to me is an educational show. Because sometimes, if you don't know, you don't know. But then you can open your mind and hear from someone about things that you may be unaware of to educate yourself and to open up your mind. So I'm really looking forward to the show.
Wow. I'm looking forward to this show as well. So we got this. Tell our listener audience the title of the show, and then I want you to tell them the purpose of the show and introduce this fantastic guest of ours.
Yes, the title of the show is Whose Children Are They? And the purpose of the show is getting to know the background of producer Whose Children Are They documentary film Rebecca Friedrichs. Discuss the documentary film Whose Children Are They? Discuss why this documentary will be the starting point for a full cultural conversation about the need to return to original intent of education, not indoctrination, and discuss the feedback from teachers, parents, and communities regarding the documentary.
Wow. Why don't you introduce this great guest to our listener audience?
Yes. Rebecca Friedrichs. Rebecca Friedrichs is part of a national movement to restore the voices and authority of parents and teachers in America's schools. As a 28-year public school teacher, she was forced to fund unions whose politics and divisive tactics degraded her profession, our schools, and our national character. Her lawsuit, Friedrichs versus California Teachers Association, brought with 10 other teachers, was argued before the U.S. Supreme Court in January 2016 and blazed the trail for ending forced unionism for all teachers and government employees in the United States. Her book, Standing up to Goliath, told through dozens of powerful personal accounts, is Rebecca's expose of corrupt and abusive unions. Rebecca, along with her husband Charles, also founded For Kids and Country, a national movement of parents, teachers, and citizens uniting to restore our schools and culture. Rebecca's editorials can be found in the Washington Times, Washington Examiner, Fox News, and other outlets. She appears regularly on radio and television outlets. She's the host of a Prager University video on why good teachers want school choice, and she was the second speaker on the opening night of the 2020 Republican National Convention. Most importantly, Rebecca is a lover of Jesus Christ, the wife of Charles, and the mother of two grown sons, Kyle and Benjamin. The James Cooley Show to Life welcomes Rebecca Friedrichs.
Hey, welcome
Thank
to
you
the
so
show.
much. It is great to be here.
You know, I tell you, just doing our research and just looking into this, I think it's extremely important topic. It's important to get your point of view since you made a film about this, and also educate our listening audience on some of the things that they might not know or might not understand that's happening in the school districts, the unions, et cetera, et cetera. So, first of all, Rebecca, can you tell our listening audience where you grew up and how your parents inspired you to be the young lady that you are today?
I love this question. Well, I was born in Los Angeles, California. And when I was about 9 years old, we moved to Huntington Beach, California. So I grew up in LA and Orange County and went to public schools and didn't learn as much as I had hoped I would in the public schools. But my parents, they raised me in the faith. They raised me to believe in Jesus and to serve others. And most importantly, they raised me to stand up for if I saw something going wrong. I was supposed to stand up and speak up. I was supposed to stick up for the weak. And so that was just a really important lesson that they always taught me. And I'm very thankful for that because I saw a lot of bad things going on in our schools when I was teaching. And so I'm very grateful that they gave me the background so that I could stand up and that God gave me the strength to do it.
So, you taught in the public school system for 28 years. Uh, did you always want to be a teacher, or did just something that just came naturally?
Yeah, I knew from sixth grade, 12 years old, that I wanted to be a teacher. I always liked teaching, playing school and all that. But the bigger thing was when I was learning, because of all the changes in education, I felt like a lab rat. They were always, it was open classrooms, it was variable credit, it was all these things that your listeners might not even know about because things change so much in the public schools. Instead of sticking with the tried and true methods, they were trying all these new methods on us. And I realized as a child that they weren't giving me the bigger picture so that I could understand the smaller pieces, or they weren't giving me the smaller pieces so I could understand the larger pieces. So I really wanted to teach so that I could help children to see the whole picture. And I love that about teaching. Plus, I just really adore being with little children and teaching them and seeing their lights go on and just enjoying their enthusiasm. Most children love learning if you present the learning well. If you make it boring and you don't teach with tried and true methods, the children are going to check out. But if you're doing a great job, kids love to learn, and I just really enjoy that.
Whatever profession someone is a part of, they learn a lot about themselves, challenges, rewards. What did you learn about yourself as tenuring as a school teacher?
Wow. What I learned most is that I really care about people learning. I understand the importance that if people are ignorant of something, or they're naive, or they've been deceived in some way, that they can really be harmed, and they can bring harm to their community or their family or their country. So true education, really helping people to understand and grasp and to understand truth, eternal truths, all truth, and to learn, not fake science, but real science, to learn, how to read, to learn how to access. If you can read, you can access everything. You can continue learning throughout your life. So that's probably it, helping people to become lifelong learners and to learn truth, not to believe lies.
Wow. Was education stress growing up by your parents? Was there any other profession you considered besides being a teacher?
Yeah, my dad wanted me to be a CPA because I have a good head for numbers, and he kept saying, "You can make a lot of money as a CPA. Don't be a teacher." But I really wanted to be a teacher. I couldn't imagine sitting in a cubicle all day. I really like being around people. Education was highly stressed in my family. My father grew up in abject poverty. His mother died when he was 3 months old. He was the seventh child, little newborn baby. Mother died. And of course, his father got very depressed, and they lived in the sticks of Arkansas. They didn't have running water. They didn't have electricity. They had an outhouse. They'd use the Sears catalog for the toilet paper. I mean, I'm talking dirt poor. And so my father, because he didn't have a mom at home, and he's being basically raised by his siblings, he didn't get a good education. He didn't have people reading to him or helping him to succeed. And so in our home, education after God, education was top. We were not allowed to bring home a C. You had to get A's and B's, and by God, you better get straight A's. But okay, we'll accept a B, a B plus, but no C's. Dad was very strict about that, and I'm so thankful for that, because he really instilled in us the importance of education and of hard work, and of doing what you say you're going to do, turning things in on time.
I think we need to hold that thought, because we're going to take a station break. But we're going to come back and we're going to continue this great conversation with Rebecca. So I tell you, if you want to be part of this conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. I'm James Cooley. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow. And we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, the true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural Deep South town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
FM 96.1 North County
and AM 1170 San Diego. The Answer.
It's time to dream big, think big, and be big. It's time for more It's Your Life. Now, here's your host, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm James Cooley, and I tell you, Rebecca is running. She just took me back home because she was talking about outhouses, and she was talking about the different type of toilet paper that we had. And Rebecca, I want you to know that I grew up in a place called Graham, Alabama, and we did not have any indoor plumbing. We did not have any running water in the house. We had kerosene. We had a wooden a burning stove where we cooked our meals, but what we did have was love. Yeah, and you mentioned something about your father demanded that you guys did not bring on a C or a B. It was uh, all A's, and that's what we have to instill in our kids today, I believe. So you just kind of took me back there a little bit. And
That's great. And you know what? It's amazing. My dad, youngest of seven, all seven of them were my dad's still alive and one of his brothers still alive, the hardest working, godliest, God-fearing people, serve their country, just wonderful people. So maybe growing up poor is good for us.
well, I tell you, I believe that it certainly be a character, and it certainly instills in one's mind that you don't have to always be that way if you apply yourself and if you have vision, understanding, and focus. And so we develop those things, I believe, as we grow and as we learn. So tell me a little bit about this documentary. I mean, so I did a little research on it. I haven't watched the film yet. I saw a couple of the little clips. Can you tell me about it? What made you write this, and what made you come up with this idea where you had to express uh, your thoughts based on your teaching experience, unions, and etc.
Yeah.
Can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah. Thank you for asking. So we made the film, Whose Children Are They? Because we're in desperate times, and parents and teachers and leaders, faith leaders, need to know the truth about what's going on in America's public schools. It's also getting into a lot of our private schools as well. So for many years, as you know, I taught 28 years. My husband taught 42. I'd still be teaching if it wasn't for the fact that our schools are so corrupt. And they were corrupted by the unions, and the unions claimed to represent us teachers. They do not. They use us as pawns to fund a very radical agenda, and they brought that agenda into our schools to get access to our kids. So, and I can explain that agenda in a moment after I tell why we made the movie. So for my entire career, I kept trying to speak up about these unions and the problem of unions. And I even stepped up and served as a union rep for 3 years because we were all forced to fund the unions our entire career. And so I thought, well, I want to have a voice. My teacher friends and I don't agree with the sexualized education. We don't agree with, these discipline policies that make it impossible to discipline. And so classrooms are becoming war zones. We don't agree with not giving parents the right to choose the school that's right for their child or the education that's right for their child. But our unions were pushing all those things. And we thought differently. So I stepped up as a union rep. And what I learned was the unions didn't want to change. They wanted to push a political agenda that was very much against the children, against the teachers, against the parents, against our country. They were dumbing down the curriculum and all kinds of things. And I thought, America needs to know this. They need to know the truth. Teachers need to know this. So as you mentioned before, we sued them, and nobody is forced to fund unions anymore because of our lawsuit and another lawsuit. But most people don't know. So we wanted to get the word out. So I first wrote a book, and a lot of people don't read. We thought, you know what? We need to get a movie out there. We need to help people to learn the truth and to be able to watch it on film. So that's what started it. We started making the movie about 4 years ago in faith. We didn't have any money, and we just kept praying and putting people on camera. And about 1.5 years ago, we were able to secure some funding, and we partnered up with a really great production team. And together we created Whose Children Are They? And this movie it's testimonies. It's testimonies of brave teachers, of parents who have been discovering what's going on in our schools, and they're blowing the whistle on it, of students who speak out and say, yeah, that happened to me. And we're just helping parents and everyone to understand that there's a very wicked agenda in our schools. It's a communist agenda, and it's an agenda to purposely not only undermine our families, not only undermine our education, but to undermine our very free republic and our liberties. So we thought that was pretty important to help people to understand. So we created Whose Children Are They?
Rebecca, can you give us some examples of like 1 or 2 examples of what was going on in the school system? You said the unions had an agenda. They were using the teachers. Can you give an example of what was going on in the school system from the teacher's perspective and also from what the student has communicated as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I'd like to make it really clear to your audience that most teachers are great people who want to do a great job and they don't agree with this wicked agenda. They're trapped in a corrupt system and they were forced to pay into the system for a long time. Most of them don't realize they've been freed. You don't have to pay any more teachers. The ones that come in and do the nasty things, teach the nasty things to our kids, they're union activists who have been planted in our schools or who have been brainwashed in our teacher colleges. So I just want people to understand there's a difference between good teachers and then these union activist teachers. So I think the thing that your listeners would probably be most concerned about is the radical sexual agenda in our schools. This is 100% pushed by the so-called teacher unions. They lobby for it, they fund it, they put in office all the legislators who write these bills, who pass these laws. So let's just talk about the California Healthy Youth Act. There's nothing healthy about it, but it was pushed by legislators put into office by the teachers unions. The teachers unions helped write the bill, and they also run our California Department of Education. The teachers unions control that. So what did they do? They passed this new law that all students, and by the way, this is not just in California, it is in all the states. It's just California was one of the first to do it. So they passed this new law that all the children had to learn something called comprehensive sexuality education. And they use all of this Orwellian language to make you think that this is just biology and this is just helping kids if they have a crisis pregnancy to, put their child up for adoption. That's a lie. That's not what it's teaching. So they passed 6 different curricula in the state of California. None of them were written by any curricula companies I was familiar with as a teacher, curriculum companies that had a long-standing relationship and were known. One of them was written by Planned Parenthood and written by other unknown organizations, and all 6 of these curricula are equally child abuse, in my opinion. They're full of pornographic ideas and material. I'll just give you an example. There's a game. They claim that this is appropriate, age appropriate. It states that in law that you have to teach age appropriate materials. The problem is they're not teaching age appropriate material. They're teaching it using games. So they say it's age appropriate because kids like to play games. Well, one of the games is the condom relay races, where a teacher is told to break the children. I'm talking 5th or 6th graders, 11-year-olds. She's told to break the children into 2 teams. You have to have boys and girls together because you're no longer allowed to assume anybody's gender, because the teacher unions are also pushing an unlimited number of genders, not just male and female anymore, like God says. So she's supposed to put the kids into 2 teams. And believe it or not, shockingly, she is told to bring out 2 anatomically correct, fully erect adult male penis models, place them on the table, and each child gets a condom. And the kids are supposed to do this condom relay race. Everyone knows a relay race. First 2 kids go, they put the condom on. They have to tell all the steps in using a condom. If they miss a step, the teacher's told, make them go back and repeat it. And this is an age-appropriate game for children to learn about comprehensive sexual education. No, this is child abuse. And this is going on in public schools. Like I said, good teachers would never do this. So what did the unions and their friends do? They wrote into the law that if teachers are unqualified to teach this, that means we won't do it. Every teacher I know said, no way, I'll never teach this as child abuse. So if we won't teach it, the experts are brought in. So now Planned Parenthood has contracts with school districts all over the country. So this is the kind of evil that is being pushed on your children in America's schools, and good teachers won't do it. So then Planned Parenthood comes in and they'll do it all day long. So that's the sex ed. I can go into some other topics if you'd like.
Wow. So you said this is going on in schools, not just in California, but, just schools across the country. How long is it? Does the film address how long this has been going on? Has been going on for a decade, just recently? Like, how long has this been happening?
Well, what we address in the film, that this has been a very long time coming. So we address the communist infiltration of our schools. So we talk about how the communists started something called the Frankfurt School, and they started that in New York, and they started it in 1933, And John Dewey was a big part of that. And John Dewey was named the honorary president of the National Education Association, which is the largest teachers union in this country. And this man was a socialist, communist. And so these Marxist, socialist, communist people start this Frankfurt School, and they their goal was to train superintendents and principals in large urban school districts like Chicago or Los Angeles. And they did that. And then they slowly but surely crept into our teacher colleges and usurped them. So our teacher colleges are now pushing a Marxist, socialist, communist agenda, which is why we have so many younger teachers and students who are brainwashed into thinking that socialism is a good thing. They don't understand, or they think communism is a good thing, and they don't understand the millions that have died under the hands of communism. They don't understand the dangers. They don't understand that they're going to lose all their liberties. And this is all because of so-called teacher unions and their communist friends starting the Frankfurt School in 1933 and pushing this agenda into our teacher colleges. And there's more to it than that. But basically, this has been going on for over 100 years. The teacher unions were infiltrated in the late 1800s, infiltrated by what are called unions. But as I'm telling you, they're masquerading as unions. They're masquerading as teachers. Really, they just are using trusted names like union and trusted faces like teachers and children to push this Marxist communist agenda into America's schools. They've pushed this into our agencies and other institutions as well. Here's what they told us: we'll take you over without firing a shot. And as Americans can see, we're in very dangerous waters right now. We have been usurped in all of our agencies and institutions in America. And it's this communist agenda that usurped us. And the so-called teacher unions are transmission belts of this agenda. And so it's really important that people realize they aren't really representing teachers. They aren't really unions. And people get so emotional about this. They get mad at me. That's my union. They got me a raise. No, they're using you to fund a very wicked agenda. And sure, they're going to go get you a raise to keep you quiet. But there really are an organization, and many of the government unions are also involved in this, that are trying to undermine the American Free Republic. So we have to fight them. You don't have to pay them anymore. And it would be my goal to make them illegal again, because we didn't used to allow government unions. We only allowed private unions in the old days.
We're going to take a station break, but we're going to come back, and I got a million questions. So we're going to come back and we're going to continue to talk about it.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today.
There's more
for the
stories of greatness
of
to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
Noah Dingley here, producer of the James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The J.C. Cooley Foundation is a nonprofit organization that was started in October of 2014. The J.C. Cooley Foundation continues to strive to expand its programs and offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens of our great communities nationwide and overseas. We hope that you'll be able to take part in one or more of the many exciting events that we're offering this year and experience firsthand the pride we take in supporting our cause. It's our mission to equip the youth of today for the challenges of tomorrow. and we rely heavily on the generosity of individuals and business owners for support. Without the assistance of community-minded individuals just like you, we wouldn't be able to serve our youth each year. We ask that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. This year's goal is $50,000. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. Remember that every donation makes a difference regardless of size. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, the true life coming of age story by James J.C. Cooley. Using humor, wit, and engaging storytelling, James paints a picture about his arrival in a rural Deep South town and realization that life would never be the same. Cooley lays out his struggle to adjust from city life to country life and back again, sharing his hard-earned lessons to educate, encourage, and enlighten our next generation of leaders and heroes. Get your copy of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James J.C. Cooley, available on Amazon and everywhere books are sold.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on iHeart.com and Odyssey.com.
It's time to dream big, think big, and be big. It's time for more It's Your Life. Now, here's your host, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm James Cooley. And wow, I mean, just listening to that last segment, that was a whole lot to take in, you know. So I got a couple of questions about. You had mentioned that in the school system that you believe that all over the country that some of the teachers are parading. They're not really teachers. They're not really this, and the legislators are not really who they said that they are. Where's the facts in that? Not saying it's not, but I'm talking about where's the proof? I mean, where did that information come from?
Yes, well, I'm talking about the so-called teacher unions, so the union leaders. And I mentioned that I served as a union leader for 3 years. And what happened to me when I was on the inside, I would go to state level meetings, and I have other friends who served at the national level and would go to meetings. We would go as representatives of our teacher colleagues, and we would say, hey, we have a problem with the union spends all of our money on far left politics. We don't think any of our money should be spent on politics. You're a union, you're supposed to help us, get breaks or, good working conditions, help us to serve the children well. And what was really happening was when we would question the unions, they'd bully us. They'd silence us. I have teacher friends who've been spit upon by union leaders, who've been booed off the platform when they would speak at the National Education Association annual meetings. Here they were, representatives of teachers. But so if you don't go along with their far left agenda, so for example, they push the whole that there's a bunch of genders. So if you go up and say, look, my teacher colleagues and I, we don't think that school is the place to bring all these genders. We're not going to push this agenda. We don't agree with this. Why is our union doing this? You get bullied, you get shouted down, you get silenced. All of a sudden, you can't serve on committees. So these unions aren't really what they claim to be. They tell the American people that they are representing teachers, but they are not. We teachers who go on the inside and actually try to gain some representation to protect our students, to represent parents in the way that we believe a professional teacher should represent families, we're bullied and we're silenced. So they aren't really representing us. They're masquerading as teachers. And then they also work very, very hard to select people who agree with their agenda, who want to push a political agenda. And they say, hey, you want to become a teacher? Get them through the teacher program, and they reward them. They'll help them with scholarships or whatever they need. So we have a lot of people in our schools who are teachers, but they're really there to push an agenda. So they're teachers because they have that job. They got a job as a teacher, but they're not like me. I knew at sixth grade, I went to be a teacher, and I'm really there to educate the children and care about the parents and want to work as a team with the parents. No, these are people who come in and who push the parents away and who literally indoctrinate the children and sexualize them and other things. I'm very offended by that. They don't belong in our profession. How dare they come to get access to innocent children through the educational system. And that's what the teacher unions have caused. They opened the door to all of that.
So you saying that that's primarily in the teachers union and in government and period, because I know you mentioned for left agenda and not to. I mean, I'm in the middle, so I'm not left and I'm not right, but I just don't see that happening. And I'm an educator myself, and I have never heard anything like that, especially what you mentioned about the races and the condoms or whatever that was. I mean, that's just completely out of blown me away. I mean, and I believe that if that was the case, and it's not a far left or far right, but this is America, that would have been brought out much sooner, and there would be rules and regulations, and there's no one side to be blamed for this. This is a left agenda or this is a right agenda. Yeah, so
Well, I actually see it as a communist agenda. So these teacher unions, they're pushing a very sexualized agenda, and it has been exposed at a lot of levels. The teacher unions also really are part of controlling the mainstream media. So it's very hard to get a message out. They won't interview a person like me. Like when we sued the teacher unions, there were so many MSNBC, they wouldn't interview me. They didn't want to hear Today's Show. They wouldn't interview me. So only certain outlets will help you to get your voice out there. So we've been blowing the whistle on the sex ed for a really long time. And it really is an agenda pushed by these radical government unions, starting with the teacher unions. And it's shocking. And it's not just the sexualized agenda, and it's not just the problems in our schools, but the teacher unions are behind open borders. They're behind, hey, you shouldn't have to show an ID to vote. I mean, it's not just the schools they're impacting. You name the problem in America, and I can likely help you trace it back to the so-called teacher unions. So they really have duped people. They've made people think that they're there to represent teachers, but they're not.
Rebecca, I have a question. So with the children, right? Everyone loves children. Everyone loves our youth, from elementary school, middle school, high school. Everyone loves the youth, regardless of, what side you're on. Why is it that you feel that certain outlets or certain, government officials would not want this exposed about harming children? I mean, we all love children. I mean, some people don't, but majority of us love children, and we want our children to get an education. We want them to be treated fairly. We want everything to be good in the schools for them. So regardless of where you are, why do you feel that this has not been, let's say, you mentioned Today's Show. I'm like, okay, maybe a show like 60 Minutes or something like that, or not. Why hasn't this been exposed?
Yeah, it's shocking, isn't it? I can't speak for those folks. I'm not in their brains, but I can tell you this: follow the money. These unions the teacher unions alone collect billions with a B annually, tax-free. And they use that money to push their political agenda. And so there's a lot of money to be had from these people. And when you consider all the government unions, most government employees are unionized. And a lot of these government unions are pushing the exact same agenda. So they're collecting billions and billions annually. And so if you're running for office and maybe you don't have a real strong character, and these folks are offering you millions to fund your campaign, and they have all these boots on the ground people, all these coerced government employees who are told, you better go knock on doors, you better go phone bank. They told us that all the time as teachers, and bullied us. And if we said no, they'd bully us some more. And so there's a lot of money and a lot of power and a lot of help with campaigns if you're connected to a union. I think there's a lot of people who close their eyes to the evil. And I've seen it with my own eyes. I've read the curricula. I've read the laws. I've been fighting this for a long time, fought it on the inside as a teacher, fought it as a parent. It's shocking what's going on, and it's easy to gain access to all of the information. And so if these leaders, legislators, either it's money and power they want, or they have a really disturbing agenda or ideas of how we should treat children. They even in California, they even passed this law that, if there's only 10 years of between the adult and the child, so the child's 15 and the adult's 25, that's not really pedophilia, that's not really a problem, there's only 10 years. I'm sorry, but that's child abuse to me, and that was always child abuse. As a teacher, I was always told to report something like that as child abuse, and now all of a sudden they're trying to mainstream it. So it's very disturbing, and I can't speak for those who are pushing it except to say that what they're doing is disturbing. Maybe they're deceived.
What have been some of the positive reactions and feedback that you have received regarding the film, and also the negative feedback, if any, regarding the film?
Yeah, the only negative feedback we've gotten is that it's long because it's 2 hours. The positive feedback we've gotten is parents that have been awakening ever since the COVID. A lot of parents have been awakening to this agenda in our schools because they saw it. They saw their kid, if their kid had an activist teacher, they saw them teaching this nightmarish stuff on, at their kitchen table on the computer. So a lot of parents have awakened. They've been going to school board meetings. They've been fighting against all of this. And so those parents in particular were so grateful to have a whole bunch of information all in one place, succinctly put together in 2 hours that you could show somebody. So most people have been very thankful to us. Many have said, boy, after seeing this movie, you can't sit on the sidelines anymore. Many are thankful for, we have a lot of different experts in the film and teachers and parents. So they were thankful that we have a large sampling of different people. It helps to prove that this is all accurate. So we've gotten a lot of really good feedback on it.
Wow. Okay, so you mentioned communism quite a few times during this interview. Do you actually believe that American agenda, or at least government officials or teachers union, is actually working toward communism to help brainwash our kids, our parents, our teachers, our government officials? Because I don't see it that way.
Well, what I would suggest to you is there's this incredible book called The Naked Communist. It was released in 1958. It was written by a gentleman who worked in the FBI, and he started seeing the communist infiltration at the government level and in the FBI, and he wanted to blow the whistle on it. So he wrote this book, like I said, published in 1958. That's how long it's been going on. And in the book, he lists the 45 goals of the Communist Party to overtake the American Free Republic. And our government was so concerned about it that in 1963, they read those 45 goals into our congressional record. So you can go online and put in 45 communist goals in the congressional record and read them there for yourself. That's how concerned we were. We've had KGB agents who left Russia and have come here and said, look, you got to beware. This communist agenda is trying to infiltrate your country. So one thing that the American founders told us is the only way to keep a free republic is with a well-educated and moral citizenry that can self-govern. So the reason I believe that these teacher unions are involved in this undermining of America and this communist agenda is because they have purposely come into our schools to undermine educational excellence and morality. They're trying to sexualize our kids and turn our kids against their parents. They're, telling kids you can be a different gender at school and hide it from your parents. We're not supposed to teach kids to lie to their parents. And then dumbing down the curriculum. So why would they be doing that? The only way to keep the free republic is with a well-educated and moral citizenry. Those kind of people can self-govern. They can think for themselves. Well, these unions have come in and undermined all that. And so they're trying to usurp that free republic. I want to read to you goal number 17.
I'll tell you what, we got to take a station break right now, but we'll come back and we'll pick it up from here. So if you want to be part of this conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. It's your life. I'm James Colby.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity. Coming up on It's Your Life with James Cooley.
There is much truth in a journey.
Everything good, JC?
As all of us journey through life, precious gifts. Just
I don't know.
Rebecca, you can hear us?
Of the James Cooley
Can you
Show.
hear me?
It's life. And
I can hear you, yes.
Can Rebecca hear us?
Yeah,
I
how
can
much
hear you.
No.
How much
Okay,
time do
cool.
we have left? Join me as I share my true life story of struggle.
This will be an 11-minute segment. We're back on time now.
We're back on time?
Yes.
I
I just had you go 2 minutes longer on that
I
one.
think everything is okay. It's just a different opinion. That's all. But that's good. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that. But
Are you nervous? Are you nervous that your audience won't accept what I'm saying?
Oh no, I'm not worried about that.
Life's circumstances.
I'm not worried about what the audience is going to say. They know that
more impactful life.
we speak the truth.
Get the new audio version of my book, Country Boy, City
And
Boy.
there's nothing wrong.
That's over yet on Amazon and wherever.
I can't hear you, JC, over the.
The
over
J.C.
the-
Cooley Foundation continues to
We'll
strive to
come
expand
back
its
to the
programs and
after
offerings to the youth, young adults, and citizens
I
of our
can't hear
great
you,
communities
JC.
nationwide and overseas.
'Cause I can hear
Tell
the
Mission to
radio
equip
stuff.
the youth of
Yeah,
today
that's
for the
that's
challenges
commercial
of
break. So
tomorrow.
we'll come
We
back
ask
to
that you make a commitment to support our annual appeal by making a cash donation. Your generosity will assist us in making a difference in the lives of the youth in our community. You can give online at CooleyFoundation.org. The J.C. Cooley Foundation thanks you in advance for your contribution.
Noah Dingley here, producer of The James Cooley Show, It's Your Life. And the new audio version of James' book, Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet, is a must-have. James shares his true life story of struggle and success in America. It's both a cautionary tale and a roadmap to achieving the American dream. Get the new audio version of Country Boy, City Boy, A Journey That Ain't Over Yet by James Cooley on Amazon.com or wherever audiobooks are sold.
The Answer San Diego, streaming now on TuneIn.com and Odyssey.com.
It's time to dream big, think big, and be big. It's time for more It's Your Life. Now, here's your host, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome back to It's Your Life. I'm James Cooley, and I tell you, this conversation that we're having is, I mean, pretty interesting now. Now, I'm going to just say that I don't agree with most of the stuff that you've been talking about, Rebecca, and you also mentioned will we be upset about the listening audience? No, what they're going to say. Now, I believe that free speech is required. I believe that everybody have their own opinions. I believe that it's healthy for us to be able to share those things, and also it's healthy to have agreements and disagreements. I also believe that a lot of the stuff you're talking about, some of it might be true. I mean, but the majority of it, the communism, the teachers union that's have an agenda to brainwash our kids, turn kid against parents and parents against the teachers and society against each other. I don't believe that, and nothing against you and your film and all the stuff that you're doing, but I do believe that this conversation is necessary. So you was getting ready to read tell me about some article, and I'm curious to hear what you got to say. But listen, audience, if you want to be part of this great conversation, that's 1-888-344-1170. Again, that's 1-888-344-1170.
So I so appreciate that, James, what you just said. Absolutely, we need to be able to debate and discuss and share what we've learned. And I can tell you that all the things we share, we've experienced. So we know for sure that this is going on, and we're deeply concerned about it. And that's why we've really, put ourselves out there to educate the public. So what I was going to read to you was one of the communist goals. But if you prefer to go on a different topic, I'm fine with that.
No. I want to hear this.
Okay, so goal number 17 is get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum, get control of the teacher associations, and put the party line in the textbooks. So if you just think about, just soften the curriculum, just think about that. We used to have phonics in our schools. Our Americans were reading great. Like 90% of Americans were excellent readers and writers. And now all of a sudden we have just the majority of kids can't read. And they're graduating high school, they can't read. How did that happen? Somebody dumbed down the curriculum. The unions try to tell teachers like me that it's all the fault of the parents, that the parents aren't showing up. That's not been my experience as a parent and as a teacher. There were a lot of parents who were kind of shut out. And so there's something going on here. It's not, there are some parents that have issues, but there's a lot of parents working hard and want their children to do a good job in school and help their children. So what's the problem? How did we go from excellence to failure in America? Our school system was changed. It was soft. The curriculum was softened. We dumbed down the curriculum, and that's all part of an agenda. It was done on purpose. So, as we become aware of that, we can fight against it. Because if we just go drop our kids off at the public school down the street, and we don't realize they might be teaching our children something 100% against our values and our beliefs, then our children they're at school 7 hours a day. And, maybe we're talking to them 1 or 2 hours a day. So it's really important. That's part of the reason we made this movie, Whose Children Are They?, to blow the whistle and help parents to understand, look, you need to know what's going on in your school and get involved and run for school board or go to school board meetings.
Rebecca, you hosted Prager University's video on why good teachers want school choice. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. In that video, we were just making the argument that parents are the ones who know their children the best, who know what kind of education their child needs. And you shouldn't be stuck going to the school that's in your zip code. And what if that school's dangerous? What if that school's underperforming? What if they don't have, can't teach your child the way your child learns? So we believe that parents should be the ones who decide where their kids go to school, how they learn. We believe parents should be in the driver's seat. So that's what that video was about. In California, parents don't have choice. And in many states, they don't have choice. They're stuck going to the school in their zip code unless they have the money to go pay for a private school or to homeschool or something like that. So we think that it's right to put parents back in the driver's seat.
Let's go back a little bit because I want to understand the backstory of your lawsuit.
Okay.
Friedrich versus California Teachers Association. I don't think that we talked about that one, but if we did, I want to hear a little bit more about this.
Sure. So all government employees, including teachers, were forced to fund unions as a condition of employment. So even if your union for instance, I saw a teacher abusing children, grabbing them and screaming at them and yanking them, and the union defended her and the district couldn't get rid of her. So I thought that was wrong. I didn't think children should be abused at school. I thought they should learn at school. That's just one example. And this pushing the sexualized agenda and all this other stuff. So the union really wasn't representing us, but we were forced to pay them. So it was about probably my 24th year of teaching. I started writing editorials because the unions kept writing in the newspaper how great they were. And I kept saying, this isn't true. This is not what they're doing for us. So I started writing editorials to expose them. And within 6 months, I was serving with 9 other California teachers as lead plaintiff in this lawsuit suing the California Teachers Association and the National Education Association. And our whole goal was just to end forced unionism in the United States of America. We didn't think anyone should be forced as a condition of employment to pay a private organization that's using our money on politics. We didn't think that was constitutional, and the United States Supreme Court agreed with us. So in 2018, all government employees were freed from forced unionism. Now they still have a union, and they can still join if they want to. Most of them don't know that they have the choice to leave because the unions passed some laws in many states where employers are not allowed to tell employees of their freedom. So that's why we spend our time getting the message out, helping people to understand you don't have to pay them. If you don't agree with them, you don't agree with how they're spending your money, you don't have to pay them anymore.
What would you recommend a way, or in your opinion, of getting the schools in America whatever you say back on track. What are some of your suggestions? How would you explain that to the American people? And this is what we need to do.
Yeah, I actually think that would be pretty simple because we already have a perfect plan, and that is what our founders put in place. When American schools ran fantastically for 150 years. Things were great. Let's just go back to that. We were using McGuffey readers. We were using blueback spellers. We were using phonics to teach children how to read. We were teaching them astronomy and accurate science. We even taught them the Greek and the Latin. Our schools were just excellent. We taught kids how to think, Socratic method. Let's just go back to that. If we can go back to what we already had, those textbooks are still in print, so it would even be easy to get them. So I just think if we go back to the tried and true, the educators of those days and our founders, they really understood how people learn, and they really wanted what was best for America. They wanted us to thrive. They wanted us to be excellent. And so they, put together an educational system that worked and it was fantastic. So let's just go back to that.
So in the school, you mentioned that a lot of this, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around this, especially the sexual exploitations in school. That's I just don't see it. I believe that if it was the way that you explain it, that the government would be all over this. Not just that, but parents in every organization would be all over this, trying to make sure that does not exist and that their kids are not being taught these things. And I don't want to say that, I just, like I said, I'm not left or right. I'm middle, and I'm not convinced by what you have said, and you don't have to convince me, but I'm just saying I disagree with you.
And you have the right to do that. I think if you've seen everything I've seen and read everything I've read, you'd probably come to my side. But it's terrible. And the problem is that the government's involved. That's the problem. When you have legislators that are put in office by these unions and who are really controlling them. For example, I went to the California State Senate Education Committee once and just testified that, hey, you should give parents the right to choose what school their children are in. And I shared a story of a young girl who really had a tragic situation because she couldn't get the education she needed. And after I testified, the chairwoman of the committee yelled at me, and I have it on video. And she just wagged her finger at me and told me how bad I was because I dared to say something negative about unions. So she wasn't there representing me as a California citizen, as her constituent. She was there representing the unions. So it really has become a mess. And there are a lot of organizations fighting against this. And we've had some brave media outlets that have also interviewed and shared a lot of these stories, put a lot of these stories out there.
Wow. I tell you, just like I mentioned to you, it's okay to agree and disagree, but knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And I think parents need to get a little bit more involved in whatever is going on in their children's lives. We need to be able to deal with the educators, and we need to also be part of our communities to make sure that we are doing all that we can to make sure that our future leaders, which is our kids and the other generations, are going to have the best education possible, the best mental capacity possible, and just the best foundation as possible. So I want to thank you. I want to thank you for taking time to come on the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and continue doing what you're doing out there. And I just want everybody to have an open mind, and that we all are striving for the same thing. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to come on the show. I'd like to thank my great co-host, Michelle Cooley, for always doing the heavy lifting. You're wonderful. I'd like to thank my great producer, Todd Pirate, for always being there, making sure everything is okay. Most importantly, I'd like to thank our listening audience, for tuning in, And I'm talking about we have all type of topics, and this was one. We got more coming up tomorrow. So we always looking for sponsors so we can continue to bring great guests like what we have today. Then we'll be back same time, same place tomorrow. It's your life. I'm James Cooley. See you.
Thanks for joining us for It's Your Life with James Cooley. To learn more about James, how you can support the show, or become a guest, visit CooleyFoundation.org. Join James weekdays at this same time for more motivation and inspiration to help you become equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. This has been The James Cooley Show. It's Your Life, where you learn how to dream big, think big, and be big at everything that you do.
Are we clear, Todd?
We're clear.
Okay. Hey, Rebecca.
Yes, sir.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
Just like I said, it's good to be able to agree and disagree. Everybody's opinion means something.
Yeah.
I mean, so
Do you guys have kids or grandkids?
we got 4 grandkids, 4 kids.
Well, I urge you to at least research some of what I've shared with you today, because I'm telling the truth and it's bad. And if they're in a classroom with an activist teacher or in a corrupt school system, it's not every single school. There's some that still have good leadership and good godly leadership, and some that still have good school boards. But our school boards have been captured. It's a mess out there. So you want to protect your kids and grandkids.
well,
Is this are you referencing public school system only?
Yeah.
Or public school system only?
Yeah, I can't say only, because some of the private schools have been captured too. It's
Mhm.
really kind of based on government funding.
Mhm.
Schools that take government funding often get captured.
Okay.
So it's really a mess. President Trump was actually trying to help end this,
Mhm.
and because he saw through it.
Mhm.
But the current administration, I guess they agree with it. I mean, it's really bad.
yeah,
So
I say, hey, thank you so much, and
you're welcome.
And you have a wonderful, wonderful day.
You too. God bless you
Thank you.
both.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.